It's not just Hunter Biden who's a crook. Joe Biden is the mob boss, obviously. He knows a hell of a lot more than he pretends not to know, even when he had his wits. The idea that there isn't a special counsel specifically appointed to investigate the financial dealings of Joe Biden and his family is a disgrace. There was a long report in Politico. Politico is very left-wing, but every now and then it's knee-jerks, and it says, wait a minute, we're supposed to be a news operation. And so it did, in this occasion. A piece by Ben Schreckinger. And we're going to take a little bit of time on this, because I want to show you how the Biden family doesn't give a damn about anybody, even the sick, even people who need and use hospitals. But these stories can't be hit in 5 minutes and then not understand them. By the way, there are things going on at the UN I'm going to talk about and other matters as well. But first things first. In 2017, a hospital operator set out to build a rural healthcare empire with the help of a Philadelphia area consultant. That consultant, Joe Biden's little brother, Jim Biden, who had no experience whatsoever running hospitals, but he did understand the federal government and its ties to labor unions. Perhaps more important, he was the younger brother of Joe Biden. So let's stop there. Joe Biden uses labor unions, too. His EV policies are going to destroy jobs, assembly line jobs, cars being built for gasoline. He pretends otherwise. And, of course, his brother's involved. Everyone's going to get involved. Joe Biden, Jim Biden's wife, Hunter Biden. The final years of the Obama administration had cemented the former vice president's towering stature in the world of health care, where he had made the fight against cancer a top federal priority. So did Richard Nixon, by the way, but here we are. And then a centerpiece of his legacy-building efforts. For then 67-year-old Jim Biden, the third of 4 Biden siblings, his ties to his older brother made up much of his pitch as he pursued deals that could help AmeriCorps, that was the company, make money from drug rehab, lab testing, even cancer treatment. So you can see Hunter throws his dad's name around, and his dad knows it. Jim, little brother, throws his dad's name around, and Joe knows it too. This would be a perfect platform to expose my brother's team to your protocol, Jim Biden wrote to the CEO of a Tampa area company that controlled licensing rights to an experimental cancer treatment the hospital operator wanted to offer. Could provide a great opportunity for some real exposure. By his brother, is what he means. The email obtained by Politico from a person close to the company documents one of the many ways in which Jim Biden invoked his brother's name and clout in the course of his work with AmeriCorps, which has since gone bankrupt, wreaking havoc in rural communities in the process. So here's another Biden family member using his brother's name and clout, using labor unions, and he destroyed much of rural hospital care, or as Politico puts it, wreaking havoc in rural communities in the process. Jim Biden spoke of plans to give his brother equity in AmeriCorps, according to one former AmeriCorps executive, and install him on its board, according to a second. Can somebody tell me why Jim Biden hasn't been indicted? And how Joe Biden just keeps skating? Well, of course. If you understand Biden, look at Putin. He also said that if AmeriCorps could find a winning business model for rural health care, his brother, that would be Joe, could promote the company in a future presidential campaign, a third former executive told Politico. All were granted anonymity to discuss a company mired in legal and political controversy. In order to fund AmeriCorps' expansion, Jim Biden offered to secure capital from investors in the Middle East. You understand? One of the reasons Joe Biden is trying to destroy Israel. You got countries like Qatar, they're just throwing money everywhere. Why wouldn't they throw it at a Biden, by the way? According to the emails and executives, when the expected money didn't arrive, it aggravated AmeriCorps' pre-existing financial issues. The company collapsed, leaving behind unpaid bills and neglected patients. The management failures took a human toll as hospital staff went unpaid, services dwindled, and authorities were forced to intervene. Bidenomics. At AmeriCorps Hospital in southeastern Kentucky, ravaged by staff departures and dwindling medical supplies, a patient died of cardiac arrest in late 2018 after receiving substandard care. 4 years after its bankruptcy, federal investigators are still pursuing questions about what else happened at AmeriCorps. This past September, the SEC accused one of Jim Biden's business partners of fraud related to loans to the company, allegations the business partner has denied. I don't see any charges here, allegations against Jim. Meanwhile, the Department of Justice found that AmeriCorps Hospital in Pennsylvania entered into sham service agreements and paid kickbacks as part of a scheme that billed the government for medically unnecessary lab tests the hospital shipped out to be performed elsewhere. You know the Bidens have never made an honest buck, ever. Ever. Hunter, Jim, the rest of them, they are leeches on the government. They've become wealthy, using Daddy. And, of course, Daddy doesn't know anything. And even if he were charged, he's too much of an imbecile to be held accountable. You know how it goes. Now, these actions are at the center of a federal prosecution of $100 million conspiracy fraud, Medicare that has netted a guilty plea from the recipient of the kickbacks, and according to a person familiar with the case, remains ongoing. Now, House Republicans pursuing an impeachment inquiry focused on the relationship between the president and his relatives' business dealings have also homed in on AmeriCorps. The House Oversight Committee is set to interview Jim Biden on February 21. By my calculation, that's tomorrow. As part of the inquiry. Have you heard any of this on any other media platform? Seriously. I'm not talking about talk radio. Anything outside of talk radio? As the layers of activity that occurred in and around AmeriCorps are peeled back in a federal prosecution in Pennsylvania, a bankruptcy court in Kentucky, intense witness interviews on Capitol Hill, a political investigation, renders the most detailed picture to date of the ways in which Joe Biden's relatives leveraged his public stature to advance a private business venture. They were all in on it. The investigation, based on public records, court filings, dozens of interviews, hundreds of exclusively obtained internal documents, reveals that Jim Biden, Joe's little brother, his role at AmeriCorps was larger than previously reported. In some internal documents and investor materials, his name is included among its top handful of leaders. He also helped the company seal regulatory approval to acquire the Pennsylvania hospital and personally fired AmeriCorps' chief financial officer, according to the emails obtained by Politico. So he had a very active hand in what was going on. The investigation also reveals that Joe Biden's name and inner circle were more involved with the company than has been understood. Joe Biden's name? Mr. Biden, his name? Oh, Joe Biden. No, just his name. In addition to the accounts provided by former executives, investor materials describe Jim Biden as an advisor to his older brother. Ooh. And on top of Joe Biden's own previously reported encounter with the firm's CEO, wow, at least 3 of Joe Biden's relatives did work with AmeriCorps. They include Jim Biden's wife, Sarah, his son, Jamie. The president's son, Hunter Biden, there you go, also met with its CEO and his personal doctor, current White House physician Kevin O'Connor. Joined a meeting with Jim Biden and the president of a hospital being acquired by AmeriCorps, according to a former exec and emails obtained by Politico. So again, we stop. So the doctor at the White House, Joe Biden's current physician, Kevin O'Connor, he was involved in a meeting involving AmeriCorps. Joe Biden's brother, Joe Biden's son, Joe Biden's sister-in-law, but Joe Biden doesn't know a damn thing. You believe that, America? It's like Fannie Wills using cash. We all use cash. That's what black people do. Did you know that? Most black people don't know that. While the extent to which Joe Biden's relatives have invoked their ties to him to advance their business careers has been a subject of ongoing controversy, that documents obtained by Politico demonstrate that Joe Biden was a central element of Jim Biden's pitch to potential partners and investors during this period. None of these Biden family members would answer specific questions related to AmeriCorps. The White House didn't respond to detailed questions for comment. He's only the president. Jim Biden has not been accused of criminal wrongdoing. As attorney Paul Fishman said in a statement, he conducted himself ethically and honorably in all his business dealings. Well, if he did, he's the first Biden to ever do so. A spokesman for Jim Biden declined to answer detailed follow-up questions, writing, "We are not able to participate in this story at this time." Why? Now, Politico's investigation, of course, did not find that Joe Biden involved himself in the firm or took actions on its behalf. Why, did you subpoena records? No. None of that's been done. However, Joe Biden did benefit indirectly from his brother's work with the firm. Listen to this one. On the same day Jim Biden received a $200,000 payment from AmeriCorps, he made a check out for his brother, Joe. The same day he made a check to brother Joe. So what does the White House say about this? The White House has said the check was for repayment of a loan, but did not respond to questions about the circumstances of the loan, including whether Joe Biden was aware of his brother's income from AmeriCorps. Got that? Otherwise, Joe Biden remained on the sidelines as his name and relatives became intertwined with a company that was pitched as a vehicle for his legacy, but stands accused of defrauding taxpayers instead. That is, his brother does. Let me ask you a question. If we have a president or a vice president with all this stuff swirling around him, and he claims he doesn't know about it, is that believable to you? Everybody has their hand in the till. His brother, his son, his sister-in-law, this one, and Joe knows nothing. Now, we know that's a lie. Just like they're running around telling us Joe is completely mentally fit to be a rocket scientist and a brain surgeon. In fact, he can do his own brain surgery, just like he can do his own proctological exam. Otherwise, Joe Biden remained on the sidelines. Quote, I was told, there's a misspelling, I was told that AmeriCorps was going to be the salvation of rural hospitals, said one of the former executives. The whole thing was a scam, and didn't take that long to figure it out. Scam? Wait, Jim Biden's involved in a scam? Hunter Biden was involved in a scam with Burisma? Scams. The Biden family, again, doesn't know how to earn an earnest buck. And it goes on at some length. Mississippi, what took place there, the Biden brand, how important that was, and all of the misdeeds and the sleazy doings and so forth. It's really quite disgusting, and it's quite lengthy, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you can. We will have it posted on marklevinshow.com, the mothership of websites, where we put all the articles we reference.